Hey guys, Chad Coleman here at TT Fitness, Stephen Knuth as well. And what we want to do, guys, is we want to just give a good information to the high school athletes, middle school athletes as well, even maybe early in college. General, but try to be as detailed as possible just to give you a good foundation to go by, and parents just can help you out as well, just to have that layer of foundation. And you have to remember too, what we give you for information here, this can also be individualized, right? So like that can be talked about on like a private session, but information to start, okay? So good basis, and we can get as detailed as you want on an individualized session as you need. So take this information, and this is a foundation to start for you, all right? So athletes, right? We look at the basic concept, okay? And then we could probably all agree that most teenagers, middle schoolers and whatnot, like maybe don't get enough water in, right? And we're drinking sodas or juices, and we got all that ton of sugar. So one thing on just basic thing here is you can get half your body weight in ounces of water. Okay, so we kind of write that on. Stephen will write that up there. Half your body weight in ounces of water. Okay, so you got your younger kids that weigh 100 pounds that, isn't even 80 pounds is not a whole lot, right? You're looking 40 ounces, 50 ounces. They get more than that, that's good. Things we like to watch out for, like replacements for water, obviously soda we want to stay away from. Juices are very, very touchy subject because we all pick the Gatorades, we pick the Powerades, but we don't realize how much sugar is in there. And Gatorade now, there's probably as much sugar in that or more than a lot of sodas, right? Sugar can have a very high inflammation rate, right? And obviously as an athlete, we don't want that. We're trying to prevent injury. So we want to stay away from those because of the sugar aspect of it, right? And then just how that affects you internally, and then even on the inflammation side of it. It doesn't keep your joints hydrated, doesn't actually hydrate your muscle very well. Dries it out. You can think of it like a hard crusty sponge that you use in the sink. If it doesn't have water to it, it's very easy to tear. And the other thing, water is super important with recovery, and it's very important too with absorbing nutrients. Okay, it also helps digestion, right? So drinking that water after you eat help with digestion, or keeping that running the digestive system smoothly, absorbing stuff. If you do take some supplements or a multivitamin, the increase of water is also going to help that as well. Like you take B vitamin supplements, or that's in maybe the drinks or the food you have. B vitamins are water soluble, so that water is going to help that. So that's just a basic general. Half your body weight in ounces of water. Try to cut out the sugar and the soda on the huge things, right? On that information of it. Steve, you got anything to add with the water?
No, guys, really, water is the foundation of, what your body is made up of, right? I think we all, when we're kids, we're like, hey, it's 70% of your body is made up of water. Well, then we should probably be constantly introducing that into our body, right? We should be drinking a lot throughout the day.
So on the sleep side of it, guys, if we just move down, we probably figure that most of our teenagers and high schoolers get enough sleep. That's just how it is, right? We always kind of give them crap for oh, you sleep in all day. But here's the thing with watching this as well, as they get older, maybe they get into the, working full time in the summer, sleep is so crucial when it comes to performance in recovery, because you produce a ton of testosterone, a ton of HGH when you sleep. We'd recommend for athletes middle school through high school, probably a minimum of 8 hours, okay? 7 can be sufficient if they get older, but I'd really push for that 8-hour mark at the minimum. And try not to get over 10, some kids do, who knows. But I would say that 7 to 8 hour range, okay? Now, that's the thing too, when we talked about that, and that muscle recovery during sleep is the best time. This is your recovery. And when you're growing or hitting those new stages and creating more testosterone and HGH and all that stuff, that is going to be your best time. So if you're not getting it, you're not going to recover as well. And if you don't recover as well, you're not going to have as good as workout the next day or practice, and it's all going to compound after each other, right? Steven's got a neat little stat that he learned in one of his athletic training courses about lack of sleep and injury. What's the, what'd you say for the number on
Yeah,
that, Stephen?
so the reason that we're trying to get more than 8 hours of sleep a night also is to help reduce your risk of injury. There was, I believe it was a Minnesota study that showed that high school athletes that got less than 8 hours of sleep a night were 1.7 times more likely to sustain an injury the next day as compared to their peers who slept greater than 8 hours. And the fact of that too is that it's compounding, right? So for every night in a row that you got less than 8 hours of sleep, it wasn't just 1.7, 1.7, 1.7 times more likely. It increases even more and more and more as that goes down the list.
And that's a great point that we can do with these two together, right? So like when coaches talk about dehydration or you talk about lack of sleep, sometimes they'll give the approach like with sleep, like if you have a game on Saturday, your Thursday night sleep is more important than your Friday, because if you get that 6 hours or 5 hours of sleep Thursday night, the game Saturday, you're not catching up Friday, right? That's why we talk about a couple days prior, you should already be thinking about hydrating enough before, like for practices or games if it's gonna be hot out, or you got something that's gonna be a long time that you're doing performance-wise. So these two work together in that. So once you fall behind, okay, it's not like, oh, I gotta get 10 hours of sleep the next day. It's gonna take that extra time to get there, okay? So again, these have that huge compounding effect because it's not, oh, I'll catch up the next day. It's the fact of, no, we gotta have a continuous cycle, right? And then when we do lack sometimes, it's gotta get right back on that track. Okay, so don't fall behind too much on that because that's going to be more of the hindrance to you with this. Okay, so these are the basic ones we really like that have probably some of the biggest effects compared to the rest we have on here. Okay, right? Most basic, but best, you know, as far as not only recovery, but just as far as results, I would say best results you can get out of it. So if we move to veggies, as this is one like. Veggies have like hidden, I always think hidden secrets to it. We don't think of it like with protein or carbs, like a lot of times with athletes, we go, oh, we need more protein to build muscle. But there's so much when it comes to eating your greens and whatnot that have with muscle development, okay? Our general basis is trying to get 2 to 3 cups in a day, right? Multiple ways to kind of get that in. Stephen, you got anything you want to add with that? Stephen's very regimented on taking like a green supplement. But as far as athletes go and getting veggies in.
Yeah, guys, so my big thing with the vegetables is that I want you actually eating 2 to 3 cups a day, which remember is 4 to 6 servings actually. And a big part of this too is getting it to come back out of your body, right? If it goes in your body, it's got to come out of your body too. So the more fiber that we're getting in through natural food sources is going to be that much more beneficial to how our body is moving literally things out of it for that reason, as well as taking a greens drink in the mornings as well. So I'm
talk about veggies, getting 2 to 3 cups in a day, helping with digestive system, and it's a real this is a hidden part to actually being athletic with muscle growth and just development of muscle. Also, there's a lot of hidden components we can get very scientific about, but veggies are extreme, case of like importance with it. And there's always good ways to sneak them in, right? Omelets, salads, that type of things, casseroles type of stuff, just as far as to get something in for the kids, right? And sneaking them in that way. Here's one too, like the next two, this is where we kind of fit our general in. Like most parents or kids, like how many carbs should I get? How much protein should I get in? Because we think of this as like our building blocks for athletes. Obviously, this is the majority of probably where we're getting our calories from when it comes to those age groups. And on the general side of it, this is what I tell most of my high school athletes or middle school athletes and even to the parents is focusing on when we have carbs, getting some quality carbs in, right? Obviously, if we look at the teenagers' regular intake, whether it's white bread or any type of pasta or cereal, those aren't quality. And two, we understand, we get it as far as the kids going out to eat or getting the fast food, it's part of the regimen. Now, depending upon how serious you are and where your goals are is whether you want to trim, right? Or just kind of try to shed some body fat to be a little bit lighter, whether you want to gain weight. it'll become of more importance on then selection. But, you know, getting 2 to 3, you know, meals, or I should even say snacks of quality carbs, when you're talking about the oatmeal, you're talking about the sweet potatoes, you're talking about something wheat-based, you know, so you stay away from the white poisons. You know, the white poisons, we like to say, is a lot of salt, a lot of sugar, and then the white bleach that's in white breads, white pastas, that type of stuff. You know, whole grains, like, you know, like Steve's gonna put up there. I like regular potatoes too, just like I do sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes, I think, have a little bit better benefit to it. You can get as deep into it too as like Ezekiel cereal. I tell a lot of kids, if you've never heard of it, right? It's a good carbohydrate and it has, you know, low calories to it. So what I look for with quality, right, is the amount of good carbs that you get for the amount of sugar and like fiber that has with it, right? So like if it's a good carb, sometimes we give a general number to it where like the carb should have, for every 50 calories, it should have 1 gram of fiber. So if it's 150 calories in that serving, it should have 3 grams of fiber. That's you know, that can be considered a good carb for you to get. You know, if it's lacking in fiber, it's lacking in nutrients. So that's the general basis of carbs. I'm telling athletes like, hey, you should get in 2 to 3 good carbs. We're kind of checking the glycemic index on that. Right? That's my thing on carbs, you know, and if an athlete's looking to gain weight, sometimes we're just looking to get in calories. So it'll be like, hey, let's get a little bit more of this, but then let's find things that are calorie dense, because you need a lot of calories if you have a very high metabolism. Right? Protein, this is all the time, right? Coach, how much protein should I get? Should I be getting as much as I can? Should I take a protein shake before or after my workout? Like, what are we looking for here? It's not as crucial as you think to be adding it in all the time, right? Your body can only absorb so much. It goes on how big you are, and it also goes on how active you are, okay? Yep, so like you get into those times where you're practicing more, you're working out more, you do need some more of it, okay? A general rule of thumb is we could say, you know, half your body weight, you know, to even you could say a third your body weight in grams of protein. And this can go up. Again, we can always talk about this on an individualized thing of it, but again, better quality of proteins, you're looking for lean proteins, right? Looking for the fish, the eggs, right? I like red meat because it offers some creatine with it, like your steaks and whatnot. And then you kind of go off of like how fatty it is, how many, you know, amino acids come with it, right? So that's kind of like why the egg, everyone goes crazy about the eggs, because it's got all the amino acids in the egg white for you. And then supplementing it though too, you can get, the bad thing is you can get really, really cheap protein, all right? And if it's not like pre-digested, it can kind of run through you. So I sigh because it's just the fact of there's so many different things you can do with protein, as far as getting in a lot, if you need more calories because you want to gain weight, kind of staying on the lean side of it by staying with the fish or the eggs. This is the general side of it though, half to a third, and then how active you are. So that's the question, you know, you can kind of ask yourself, and then what you're looking to get for in calories. Most of our athletes are going to be above half your body weight, just because of how much they're eating when they're that age, or even as they get into high school, and their activity level is generally higher, right? The supplements part of it, real basic. This is more on the side of being your individualized basis. We get a lot of questions on protein. Should I supplement protein? Well, are you getting it in your diet or not? That's the question, okay? A lot of times I think most athletes get enough without supplementing it, but if they need to, we can. I get a lot of questions on creatine, okay? So I like creatine, but you gotta be very careful on what it's paired with, I think. Like if, you know, your creatine supplement has a lot of amphetamines to it, it's not needed. creatine itself, as far as what I've read, doesn't act like an amphetamine itself by making your heart rate get really high. That was kind of a misconception years and years ago, but I think creatine is really, really good for athletes, especially the power athletes, and have a really good benefit to it. But it should just be taken in a simpler form. It doesn't need a ton of ingredients with it to work. You know, other strength and conditioning professionals that I talk to are really high on athletes taking a fish oil supplement if they're older, a multivitamin. You could even look at like a probiotic, because your gut health is of extreme importance when it comes to nutrient absorption, immune system, you know, all that. Just being regular on going to the bathroom is a huge thing, because that will affect performance in numerous ways, okay? Your multivitamin, I don't think it's ever bad for kids to be on a multivitamin, even if they're in middle school, right? High school, it just depends upon the type of multivitamin that you're taking, the strength of it, what it all offers. And then again, this list could be extremely huge. These are some of the basics that we get most of the questions on, right? And this is some of the stuff that I would, you know, probably relay to the parent, you know, on the conversation with them, or the athlete, that we look at supplement protein, creatine, maybe a multivitamin, probiotic, a fish oil. Steven, you have anything to add with some of that maybe I skipped through?
Yeah, so especially with like the supplements, guys, like it is what it says it is. It's a supplement, right? So you need to decide like where you're deficient. If getting in 1/3 to half your body weight in grams of protein a day is difficult, then obviously you need to supplement protein. If you're like, you know what, like I really don't like red meat, well guess what? 2 to 3 servings of red meat during the week is good to help keep your creatine levels up. But if you don't eat red meat, you're going to need to get it in from someplace else, right? So doing a supplement with that. In my opinion, like a probiotic is awesome. This sort of goes back to your vegetable discussion as well. You know, we want to eat that many veggies, but then also taking a greens drink is another great supplement as well, because it has probiotics and prebiotics. Prebiotics just basically help set up your gut to be more absorptive of probiotics, and then it has phytonutrients as well, that are nutrients that are only coming from plants, right? So a greens drink is a great thing to add to this list as well. But again, like it's supplementing, it's filling in the nutritional gaps that you're having a hard time getting through a normal, you know, healthy whole food diet.
Yeah, and this is a great starter level on foundation. So watching this and just seeing where you're at can bring up some questions for you, and then you can reach out to us, but you can just look at the general side of it, right? Do I even drink water? Do I drink enough? Or am I just getting it from juices and soda? Where's my sleep at? If we're good on that side of it, right? Am I hitting the amount I need? Can I add some veggies in because of what they're doing for me that we don't always realize because we're too much focused on carbs and protein? My quality of carbs, right? Does it have a good amount of fiber in it to make it kind of a good carb to it, right? My oatmeals, my whole grains, my sweet potatoes, you know, quinoa, all that stuff. Even rice can fit in there too. Protein, good quality, not just from like a lot of fat sources. People ask me about dairy as well with that. I sit 50-50 on it personally. I like dairy, some people don't, as far as maybe inflammation or amount of sugar. We get the time with these all the time, like all my after workout stuff, like chocolate milk. Okay, I'm good with chocolate milk, but again, some of the things too, whether you're watching your weight or what you're looking for is different than what chocolate milk you're picking as far as how many sugars are in it, right? General basis, we always look from right after a workout, a ratio of 3 to 1. Should have 3 times more carbs in it than protein, and then you can kind of get your protein in like an hour, 60 minutes after your workout, practice, so forth. Supplementing what you don't get. Laying a foundation of first looking at what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and making sure that the foundation is laid before we get even more detailed with you, okay? So if this is not taken care of, right, on the first part of it, we're not really going to move into the next portion of it of, okay, what should we switch for foods to get more out of it from you? And that'll change too as your athlete gets older, okay? So a lot of times we have to build these habits first, okay? build these habits, right, then we get more detailed. It's just like training. You gotta learn how to squat multiple different ways with the bell, with the barbell, and then you get more detailed in all the stuff you add with it. Okay? So we can't get super detailed with this until you lay yourself the foundation of the stuff that really matters most before getting into super detail. Steven, you got anything to add?
No, it's a perfect ending to that, guys. Exactly like Chad said, this is your foundation, you know, and we can get into more detail with it. We want to get into more detail with it for you. Big thing right now though, right? Come away from this, and if you still want to have a further discussion with us on what your athlete or what you as an athlete can be doing, then I want you to come to us with a time that works for you to meet, as well as 3 things that you learn from this that you need to work on, so that we know that, you know, you've got an understanding of it, and we can start working towards, you know, having this good foundation so we can do more detail later on down the road. But with that, guys, thanks for taking the time to watch this. I know it's a lot of information. Again, hit us up with any questions that you might have pertaining to everything that we covered here. Thanks again.